This is the portion where we're going to go on governance and economic transformation, okay? I might get my little clicker going. Somalia's long-term stability and economic transformation depend on the strengthening governance systems, rebuilding trust in public institutions, and developing leadership pathways suited to a young, rapidly changing society. The country faces interconnected challenges including unclear federal and state power sharing, weak regularity and institutional frameworks, and corruption that erodes public trust alongside mismanaged identity and economic arrangements that often outpace accountability and inclusion. I have the esteemed honor to introduce my next amazing panelist. Our first speaker is Omar Baadiyow. He will explore how rethinking clan identity is essential for good governance and economic transformation in Somalia. Please give a round of applause to my brother Omar. I have my brother right here.
It's always difficult. Sorry, guys.
All right. Okay, I want to get my apologies, guys. I got to read this vibe. Right? Come on now. Okay, so Omar Baadiyow, Emerson, award-winning educator and transformational leader. Beyond the classroom, he has never been deeply engaged in leadership initiatives and grassroots community development within Muslim and Somali communities in Canada, empowering youth and strengthening civic engagement. He holds a bachelor's degree in political science, a Bachelor of Education and a Master of Education Policy from the University of Alberta. Omar currently works within the Foundation network of Ivy World Schools, and as the founder and executive director of the Horn of Africa Teachers Institute, he works to strengthen Somalia through high-quality teaching and transformative research grounded educational reform. Please give it one more round of applause to my brother. Love it.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show us the truth as the truth and give us the courage to follow it. Today I have a topic that I'm very passionate about. It's primarily state building. And institutional building. You're going to hear this term a lot. Somalia needs institutional building. My topic is managing clan identity for good governance and economic transformation. Every single year, I show the movie Malcolm X with Denzel, and there's a part in the movie that really gets me thinking a lot. When Malcolm raises the question, who taught you to hate yourself? This question forces us to think about how societies are taught to reject parts of who they are in the name of progress. In Somali state-building debates and discussions, clan identity is often treated exactly this way, as a problem to be suppressed in the name of unity and progress. Today I'm going to challenge this idea, and I'm going to take you on a small journey with me. Our history shows that denying clan identity has never produced the result that we always wanted. We talk about midnimo, we talk about unity, and we talk about progress. Denying and suppressing our identity has never produced this. Somalia will only achieve good governance and sustainable economic transformation by reconciling our clan identity with our shared national identity. To demonstrate this, I want to take you on a small journey to start from the SYL, the early founding fathers of the Somali state, all the way until the present, and really look at how did all these governments for certain periods approach clan identity. Where have they succeeded and where did they fall short? We all know that prior to colonization, Somali society organized and governed around clan structure. They provided security, cooperation, and social life. customary law, known as head, regulated justice and conflict resolution. The Ka'b al-Qabil, the elders, and the Islamic scholars worked together to create harmony. Islamic values reinforced by our head system allowed clans to live together side by side. So there was really no one Qabil invading another. That kind of conversation never existed. When colonization came, it did change the political structure of the time, but the clan network and support system remained intact. Over time, clan identity came to be seen not as something to be governed wisely, but as something to suppress. And we're going to look at why that happened. The first approach or policy or strategy of suppressing identity begins with our founding fathers. I want you guys to intellectually sympathize where they were coming from. The European colonizers came. They divided and conquered us through Qabil, clan lines. So the founding fathers originally thought to themselves, if we can transcend clan lines and clan politics, we can unite the country. So that's where they were coming from. So because of that understanding, they adopted a strategy of marginalizing and excluding clan identity. So the founding fathers, so they would conceal their clan identity. That was their strategy. Marginalize it, like the short-term impact was that they were very successful in uniting Somalis across clan lines and mobilized people around independence. So it did work for us. But unfortunately, long-term, because of the limited experience the SYL had with state building and institutional management, the question of power sharing, resource management, they were not mature enough at that time because of their limited education and the experience. So they worked with what they had. So there was no programs or beyond the conversation of Yata Somalia, Asku Imani. Okay, Asku Imani, how that happened. So when the state was formed in 1960, it experienced a lot of corruption, a lot of mismanagement, because now imagine all these clans coming together and they have to share resources, they have to share power. But they've never done this before in their entire life. So that's where we the SYL had challenges. And because of that, long-term, corruption came back. And it pushed people back towards clan politics. So this is how we honor our founding fathers, by recognizing their contribution and learning from the shortcomings they had. Then, because there was a lot of corruption and a lot of clan politics, naturally the only institution that existed beyond the government was the military. So in 1969, when everyone was fed up, there was a bloodless coup d'etat. So the military regime comes in from 1969 to 1991. They approached clan identity differently. They enforced violent anti-clan ideology, criminalizing clan identity and labeling it backward, divisive. SYL wa ka'amusan, Somalia. The military regime fought against clan identity. They promoted scientific socialism and loyalty to the revolution as the only legitimate identities. Short term, the regime weakened clan politics, centralized authority, and created a sense of Somalinimo. Long term, in 1977 and 78, there was the Somali-Ethiopian War took place. It was poorly managed. As a result, the government, the Siad government, they lost the trust and the legitimacy of the people. And now the regime wants to keep power. To stay in power, for him, he had to manipulate and exploit clans to stay in power. And because of that, clan identity became politicized and militarized. contributing to the state collapse in 1991. So when you hear SNM, Somali Union of Congress, all those political movements that picked up arms to fight against the government, it was right after the war in Somalia, between Somalia and Ethiopia. So here again we see, if we violently attack our clan identity, it fails. And we are here in Doha because of this failure. And this offers us an important lesson that we can talk about, Somalinimo and unity, but we need to think about, beyond these rhetoric and slogans, what programs and institutions are we building? After the regime fell, we had a pretty much 10-year period where there was no government. So traditionally what we did was we went back to our clan structure. They provided basic resources, security, survival, and justice. So this was a natural inclination in the absence of the government. Short term, it did work. However, for long term, the political elites and warlords militarized clan-based identity. I would love to stop here and really focus on one point. Oftentimes, when I study Somali history or talk to young people, I hear, Qabila Studulin, Qabila Zagalen. That is not true. We need to change that narrative to Somali political elites and warlords organize and mobilize some of their clan members to fight for resources and power. That's the language and the narrative we want to use. That's the narrative that we have been fed to, and we want to challenge that. During this period, there was these warlords normalized violence, deepened fragmentation, and making state rebuilding very difficult. There was about 10 conferences that these warlords put together, and they failed to develop the Somali government again. And because of that, in 2000, some of you I think might have been there, the older folks here. In 2000, Somali civil society came together. When we talk about civil society, we're talking about Somali scholars, the business community, the elders, the women, anyone who was non-warlord came together in Djibouti, and this is where another approach is going to be institutionalized, the 4.5 power sharing model. This is when the people that attended, they couldn't come up with any other formula or a strategy to create stability. So no matter what they did, in the absence of IDs or national institutions, everything was destroyed. So they came together and they said, hey, okay, how are we going to share power and resources? So there was really no way out except the 4.5. It could have been a 5, it could have been a 4, but they decided it's going to be 4.5. So that means in Parliament, there are 275 members in Parliament. Each major tribe, Hawiyya, Darod, Dir, and Hawaii, they will get 61 seats. And the 0.5 will get 31. Sometimes on social media you'll hear, 0.5 Harolde, but let's intellectually sympathize, please, for one moment. These warlords, or Hawiyya, Darod, they're using these names. They have land, they have weapons. Minority so that's where the 0.5 came in. So it has nothing to do with it has everything to do with representation. Okay? Short term, it was successful in creating stability. However, it brought relative stability by accommodating clan interests. Hawiyya, Darod, Dir, and Hawaii interests were the long term, it reinforced elite-driven clan politics. Weakened equal citizenship. And merit. You will not be employed because of what you know. It's your clan loyalty or who you know. And it slowed down the strong development of strong, accountable national institutions. So hatta wahab marona, 2000 and present, this is what we're seeing. The federal states are fighting each other, they're fighting the central government. It's a whole mess, right? And it's not working for us. So the 4.5 system, it did bring relative peace, but it's not working. It's not creating equal opportunity, equal citizenship. So if I can really summarize, if we can summarize, we have seen how the SYL marginalized clan identity. We have seen the military regime violently suppress We have seen unregulated, empowered clan identity between 1991 to 2000. 2000 until now, the 4.5 system, if I did have a longer presentation, I would talk about how Prophet Muhammad in Medina, when he came, there was conflict around clan lines. There was the Jewish tribes, there was Aus and Khazraj, they were fighting each other. How is it possible that our Prophet created lasting peace, equal citizenship, and unity? So if I had more time, I would have explored that. But we're going to move on. But there is a model that's inspired by our Prophet ﷺ. But our Prophet ﷺ constantly promoted the idea of institutional building, justice. Here, a banner, it says Midnimo. I'm very certain that all of us can unite under justice. And so the Prophet's model really was, give the people justice in Medina, and they will unite. So the Quraysh, that came from a very powerful tribe, in Muskinka or Langabka, they had equal powers because of the Medina constitution. It was brilliant. And if you guys study history, this is the first constitution written before Magna Carta and Europe ever imagined a constitution. So there's a lot of lessons we can learn from Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So now, some of the conversations that I always get, oh, it's not Qabil, it's Qabiyalad. I'm going to open the floor. I was going to do this, but let's open the floor. When you hear the word Qabiyalad, we were having a conversation yesterday. When you hear Qabiyalad, what's the first word that comes to your mind? Discrimination. Hey? Let's go, guys. I need some brainstorming. When you hear, it's not Qabil, it's Qabiyalad. What do you mean by Qabiyalad? I'm going to pick out people if I don't get enough answers. Yeah? Nepotism. Clan loyalty. Hey? Exclusion. Injustice. Favoritism. Lack of coercion. Hey? Human rights violations. These are the words that come up. When I was doing my master's degrees, I looked around. I think I'm So why, and they mentioned all of these things. So my question here is, I did the homework for you guys. So when we talk about Qabiyalad, these are everything that we're talking about. So if you look at legal violation, obstruction to justice Muhammad, your clan member has been bigalayo wa ilalinisa. Well, that's the language we need to use. Abuse of power, misuse of public office, impunity. You do whatever you want to get away. We know how to fight these things through institutional building. If you look at under human rights violation, you have discrimination, you have corruption, favoritism, nepotism, politicization of clan identity. This is the language we know. If we use this language, we're able to solve our problems. But if we say Qabil is the problem, it's going to sound like we have to fight Qabil. So why don't we use the right language? Incitement to violence. If you were in Canada, you would be arrested for that kind of stuff because you're inciting violence. So, as a Somali, we need to start thinking about the language and the narrative we use. And this is also in line with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. I think Shaykh in آخرنا ayah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا. All you who believe, use words that's befitting to the issue. Runta kasheega waxaa meesha ka jirto. If you do so, yuslih lakum a'maalakum. Ilaahay wuxuu nii toosinaa a'maashiina. Somali kasta, like when I started learning about politics, Qabil is a problem, Qabil is a problem, this is the problem. We're not talking about leadership. We're not talking about institution. We're not talking about corruption. We're not talking about my cousin who is stealing the country's wealth. When you say Qabil, we don't know who this is. I don't know. Hawiye is the problem. Who's Hawiye? I know Farah. I know Muhammad. We can go after them. So it's important that we identify what the problem is. And I'm very proud to say that, we've matured and we've grown, especially us, to understand that it's not Qabil, it's about failure of leadership and lack of institutions. I just want to highlight to what a few things inspired by Prophet Muhammad. We need leaders with personal integrity. Let's talk about personal integrity. If a president is standing here and you know, how are we supposed to respect him? How are we supposed to respect somebody who's not modeling social justice and integrity? So when we talk about leadership crisis, Prophet Muhammad when he went to Medina, they trusted him. Hafid Alim, he was trustworthy and he was competent. So everyone gave him their full attention as a mediator, as a political leader. Today, some of our political leaders were okay. They were talking about how they come to but what kind of nonsense is this? So we need a leader that can model integrity and justice. At the bottom, moral leadership. We need leadership that breaks from Somali elite political culture. Siyasiyiin waxaa u dhaqan inay been sheegaan, waa culture, beenay sheegaan, dhul iyo hantiday dhacaan, been, boob iyo beec. They buy votes. That's their culture. So how are they supposed to fight corruption when they come into office by buying votes? Ma shaqeynayso. Manage identity. I already talked about how we need to manage our clan identity through justice. Justice and institution, what can I I'll be starting my doctorate degree, inshallah, and I hope to begin doing research on civic and citizenship education in Somalia, the kind of framework. From 1943 till I had that there isn't any coherent civic and citizenship education or their rights and their responsibilities and the rule of law. Majuru. During the military regime, citizenship was like this. You must be loyal to the regime or you're out. So we need to have civic and citizenship education that really promotes the idea or finally, everyone here is from Canada, Europe, even Qatar. Just imagine the following under institution. When the state delivers welfare, education, healthcare, security, justice, economic opportunities, and clan identity, and that's how people live in peace in America, and in Canada, and Europe, and Western countries, and even here. Kulli good, a Nigerian, a Chinese, a Somali, an African, Kulli in America, how do we live in peace? Because we have rights. I believe if Justin Trudeau slapped me as a black Muslim man, I can take him to court. If I go to Somalia and seek justice, if I go to Somalia, I have no access to justice. I have no access to justice. So, are you proud Canadian? I am proud Canadian because they give me equal rights. I believe that So we need to embed that kind of culture in Somalia through justice and strong institutions. Finally, resource and state power must be governed by merit. You have to be qualified. Adele talked about, you have a master's degree, we need experience. We need experienced people that know how to deliver results. We don't care about excuses no more, guys. But when you're evaluating a president or somebody, just think about it. Did he deliver what we needed? It's been 35 years. Stop making excuses for failed leadership, please. Finally, Somalia does not have a Qabila problem. We suffer from weak governance and broken institutions. Somalia does not have a Qabila problem. We are facing a failure of leadership and accountability. Assalamu alaikum.